Добрий день.
Hello, welcome everybody who joined us. My name is Olga Atamanova, and welcome to the Media Center Ukraine. We invited you today to talk about China, Ukraine, and Europe, what to expect from 100 days of Trump, the next 100 days of Trump rule. We have here Ihar Tyshkevich, a political expert, who will present this topic, and Vadym Denysenko, political expert. So, Mr. Vadym, let's start with turbulent news that do not surprise apparently anybody anymore. It's about the United States and Trump's dynamic changes. Somebody is talking about the USA exiting anything that concerns the peace talks and his role at all in general in this discussion. So what are we to expect? Thank you very much. We should begin with that the formula that the Trump started the peace talks. It was sounding this way: the Ukraine. If Ukraine doesn't want to take his conditions, then Ukraine will not get any kind of weapons. Now we have the next position. Trump does not want to provide any kind of weapons to Ukraine. And Trump is not ready yet to break relationships with Russia. And right now, Mr. Graham is previewing 500% tariffs for the countries that are buying Russian oil. Right now, we have two factors. The first factor is those 5 days that Ukraine didn't receive intelligence data. It does affect the reputation of American military-industrial complex, and the Americans understand that if this situation repeats, then the allies of the USA will not be willing to buy American weapons, and it's very important. In the context of American-European relationship too. Also, we have a rating fall. Trump's rating is falling severely right now. It needs to be mentioned that Trump's rating depends a lot on the relationship with Ukraine, and many American politicians, including Republicans, are saying that that Trump is taking pro-Russian position, and many people do not understand it, including many Americans, individual Americans. So the formula that existed 100 days ago, and Trump tried to implement it in the course of 100 days. As of today, this formula does not exist anymore in the form it existed before. Also needs to be mentioned that Putin does not want, as of today, any kind of discussion, peace talks. So he selected to continue the war. It is connected from one side on the psychological particularities of Putin himself, and his certainty that he can achieve many things, doing things like he is doing them. Also, we have presented another study a month ago that these steps of of Vladimir Putin make it harder for him to conduct economical policies that he is conducting regarding the reprivatization in Russia. So he's not interested in finishing the war in the nearest time. Another thing that stops him from stopping the war is returning of 1 million 1 million people from the front lines to and Putin does not understand what to do with those people after the war finishes. So as of today, it is practically impossible for him to decide on peace or ceasefire, and so this question is kind of out of the picture. But it is on the agency in the Russian Federation, but we can only speak about it in a theoretical sense. However, the probability of the ceasefire right now is pretty low. So we are starting to talk about the B variant. So after which implies that after the summer campaign, there will be some kind of talks between the United States and China. And some kind of new rules will be developed regarding trading all around the world in this context. Also, I would like to mention that the Dilova Stolitsa newspaper that I represent here has conducted study about the next 100 days of development for Ukraine for the next 100 days. So those factors will be definitive for the development of things in the next 100 days. We need to talk about that our problem the problem of our politicum is living in the logic of elections, and this electoral logic does not imply a new image of the world order. As of now, not a single political force in Ukraine that wants to have some kind of position in the future political life of Ukraine. They do not propose any kind of reaction to the future world order. And if political forces do not have this kind of picture, it will be replaced by aggression from our enemies. So first of all, I would like to pay attention to the direction that the events are developing in. About 40% of Ukrainians say that it is developing in the right direction, and this is some kind of anomaly. So from one side, it may seem that everything is developing in the right direction, but about the same amount of people responded that it is that they didn't know in which direction the things are developing. Next, this is a traditional question of what is making people worry. So the first place is occupied by corruption. 63% of people are worried about corruption in Ukraine. And also it represents worries about everything actually that will be happening in the country. As of today, there is no political force that would offer ways how to fight corruption, and they are not ready to talk about the fact that the corruption is not the main problem. It's the absence of control system in the country. Control, yeah. So it will be defining for the for a lot of instability in Ukraine in the future. Also, we have taken into account the informational war that's waged by Russia against Ukraine. I would like to stop I would like to pay attention to another trend of 100 days of Trump presidency, and I can say right now that it will be a definitive trend for the next 100 for his 100 days also. And this is about the anti-American mood around the world. And I would say that this is quite important for the future of Ukraine as well. The future, the picture of the future world order is fuzzy right now, and in those cases, as I said before, this emptiness, this vacuum, is replaced by aggression. And anti-American mood in Ukrainian society becomes significant as well. So the attitude toward Elon Musk deteriorated by 91%. Donald Trump attitude towards Donald Trump deteriorated by 90%. To his team, 91%. Towards the USA as a country, it's 85%. Representatives of the Republican Party, 71%. Democrats, 67%. To the people of America, I'm sorry, these were not correct numbers. Elon Musk, 72%, Trump, 72%. Trump's team, 72%, people of Ukraine, 52%. Democrats, 37%. Democratic Party, towards President Biden, 17%. So what we see is a very serious trend of deteriorating attitude toward the USA, and it's quite a bad indication for us. So what about the negative attitude toward the people of the USA? Completely positive, only 17%. And only at the same time, 17% only is having a negative attitude towards USA as a country. 36% is a negative attitude. But 51 has said that it's deteriorated. Towards the representatives of the Democratic Party, 32. To Republican Party, 46. Towards the President Trump, 81% of Ukrainians have negative attitude. Trump's team, 79% negative attitude, and Elon Musk, 80% negative attitude. If we are talking about the claim, the claim of USA external policy, we have to say that basic claims is that from one side, 71% of Ukrainians are talking about that we will have very difficult time without the USA. It's a pragmatic attitude. At the same time, 58% of Ukrainians are saying that we need to be independent from the USA, and only 14% of Ukrainians think that the USA see the USA as a protector of democratical values. And on the other hand, 80% of Ukrainians have negative attitude towards the USA. So it's becoming a very significant trend in terms of attitude towards the USA. And we don't really see any ways to improve it in the next few months. Sir Vadym, you have said that conditionally the peace talks window will open after the summer talks about trade. We are seeing right now that Trump is not used to any kind of long-term expectations. So what can you say about it? First of all, for us, what's the most important is the weapons provision, and we will have that. We will have that. Another question is the sanctions against the Russian Federation. So this, however, this one is not very realistic in terms of Trump's policies. If the sociological surveys will show that absence of the sanctions deteriorate his ratings, then he might introduce new sanctions. However, there is a leeway for him to continue trading talks. If we're talking about the USA and China talks, what do we see as a possible development in terms of trading talks between the USA and China? I will continue. Mr. Vadym's thought about the. There was a prognosis. The study of future for the 2025. So it was about the existence of the pressure, social pressure against Trump. Everything else becomes a consequence of this, including the relationship between the USA and China. Every question that is related to this question is showing that it becomes a period of 2-3 months that any kind of question becomes an agenda of the United States. So, for example, it is important to work with our population regarding the Trump's policies about Ukraine. It is necessary to work with our population to show that Trump's policies may be actually beneficial for Ukrainian people. And the exit of Trump from this triangle, he needed some kind of dynamics, including the relationship with Ukraine. And in this way, we could probably unblock the weapons provision to Ukraine. And the future and the new contract about the minerals is going to be beneficial for this future. In regards of relationship between the USA and China, it is necessary to mention that it is not beneficial for a single party to continue this war. Regarding the import of heavy machinery from Russia, Rostec is saying that about 60% of import of machinery from China is what happening right now. So dependence of Russian Federation from Chinese machinery is increasing right now. If we talk about the relationship between Russia and Ukraine. Russia's intention is to become a superpower again, and Putin is not lying. In this context, Putin is not lying that Russia's existence is depending on this war. So first interest of Ukraine is not to lose this war, but at the same time, it is also in the interest of Ukrainian people for Russia not to lose. It may remain a regional leader, but it shouldn't lose this war because. For the USA, what needs to be done, very short period before the end of war, is to amend the relationship between the USA and China. So let's pay attention. Let's pay a little more attention to the fact that what Trump is doing right now is destroying the old world order. And there is some kind of logic behind that. So on one hand, you can try to use the old world order in order to get benefit, or you are trying to introduce a new world order, which means the destruction of the old world order. So that's why WTO and other international contracts are becoming obsolete, or they're becoming less important, less significant. And on this background, with this background, the U.S., the United States of America, are trying to stay actual, first of all, on the American continent, and also cope with the events that are transpiring all over the world. In terms of China, let's see what's the main rhetoric of Beijing. So what they are seeing is that the USA is an unpredictable partner. At the same time, Ukraine is a predictable partner. And this kind of rhetoric is becoming to be more and more seen. So if we check the first iteration of the trading war, the Asian countries like Japan, China, and Korea, they were able to make a common policy in just about 3-4 days. So this means that Trump made a very important push towards the Chinese influence increase. And also needs to be mentioned that these countries are interdependent a lot. If we're talking about the reaction tariffs, China could not stay silent in this because if they have a 5-year plan of development, they have social moments about this, and if you are to play a key role in the world, you cannot compromise. It means denying their own ambitions. For the Chinese, it means denying their own ambitions of a world leader. So this means that both parties are incrementally decrease those tariffs. Also very important is the communication on the business level. What we see is the communication between American leadership with their business representatives, and also this is going to be a logic of events for the next few months in the USA. In the Russian Federation, at the same time, there will be attempts. There will be attempts to keep Russia at bay. They will try. The United States of America will try to increase their influence. The Russian Federation in the automobile industry, for example. Also, it will be. It will concern the question of Arctic. Arctic. We see that the Russian Federation is starting to build new ships that will be new ships that will work in Arctic, in the Arctic, and so this question is important. However, at the same time, the key question for the China will be its own industry development, because. This is really not a big choice. Either you focus on Chinese on the Chinese actions, or you choose to focus on the contacts with the countries around China, and this. Shows that what we see now is that China is also expanding its. Is trying to expand its influence around Asia and South America. Also, India and Pakistan. Are very important in this context. They will be trying not to allow a new war in the region. That's why what we're seeing is China is trying to build some kind of network of trading relationships all around China and even on the American continent. What we are observing for the past 2 weeks is that there were three interchanges on the international level, and this is not typical for China. That just shows that the USA, by exiting these international affairs, this leaves some kind of vacuum that needs to be filled by something, and China is taking that upon itself. Also, we think that the upcoming elections in Romania, the United States will try and to intensify their relationship with Eastern Europe countries. Another axis that went through Russia, Belarus, and Poland, and to Europe, it stays active. It is still active, and but the main question for these countries remains what to do with the U.S. In the context of their new external policies. In terms of Ukraine, the security in the region will remain the main question for the main players on the international arena. This means the American partners in NATO, they do not refuse the idea of Ukraine entering the NATO alliance. However, the European countries themselves, some of them are having questions about the possibility of Ukraine becoming a member of NATO alliance. However, it needs to be said that the main problem here is the consensus between the lot of European countries. Let's remember the concept of different speeds. That was actual for European countries in the beginning of 20th and 21st century. So what we will see is Poland attempts to force the creation of the new alliance. Also, we will see what we will see in the next 2-3 months is the attempts to develop some kind of strong positions of European countries in the European Union towards the changes that are coming from the Trump's America and China relationship dynamics. What we will need to pay attention to is that a lot of old Europe, so-called old Europe countries, what their actions will be in this context. And in the context of economy, it will be worth awaiting some kind of steps towards what needs to be done with Ukraine and aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine. We will see also the third problem is security. It's a discussion. It's a discussion of the formation of some kind of military cooperation. It's not possible to do it within 3 months, but some kind of directions will need to be determined in the next 2-3 months. For China it will be China will attempt to solidify its influence in Asia. For the USA, it's solidifying cooperation with international organizations, and for European countries, it will be the question of developing a policy for the next 3-4 months, some kind of some substantial steps that will need to be done. For us, it's just waiting for what will happen in this next 3-4 months. Regarding Trump, some experts are saying that the worst scenario for us is that the talks these talks between the United States of America and China, they will just lead to a cancellation of sanctions against Russian Federation. But I don't think that the United States of America will cancel those sanctions.
Well, now the situation is such that Trump depends on the public opinion. But at the same time, we see the statements made by the Trump who said that all those, all those surveys, well, statements are one thing, but these are another thing. They will still try to find the ways to cooperate with Russian Federation. Probably they are going to use the general license regime. Let me remind you that a US Treasury, they have a sanction policy, and there is such a phenomenon as general license that is issued for 6 years that exempts certain goods or services from the sanctions. For example, such regime was working in the relation of Russian fertilizers. And if I'm not mistaken, it's still in effect until this moment. So formally, they are under sanctions, but reality is a little bit different. I don't really remember what is the exact number there, or what is the letter there, but the issue is that the full lifting of sanctions is of no benefit because it's a blow to the reputation of the United States and Trump personally. Why? Reputational blow to the United States because the sanctions were imposed for aggression. For United States, the key problem is their competition with China. There is a consistent policy, and the Beijing would say, like, look, there is an inconsistent partner, we can be a consistent partner. So when it comes to the sanctions, hardly. When it comes to the support of Ukraine with trade and arms, yeah, most likely it's going to happen. Then, from the perspective of other options, like being a moderator, well, I don't think the United States at this current stage are going to boost this process. So within the next 3 months, those will be the month of expectation and observing the way that the circumstances are going to unfold in Ukraine. I think that the sanctions will be lifted in exchange for something. With all due respect to Ukrainian experts who keep saying that the sanctions are about to be lifted just tomorrow, I think it's only going to happen if Putin agrees to some concessions towards Trump. For the time being, we're seeing no concessions Putin would be ready to. Well, really, there would be some proposals prepared. The task of the Russian Federation, it's only half a click away, but half a click is not everything. They have to segregate like the issue of Ukraine and all other issues within the foreign policy framework of Ukraine. They've almost achieved what they wanted, but they've stopped half a click away because they had to sign a 30-day agreement. What can be a substitute for that 30-day agreement within the 100 days to come? It's difficult to say. But the Russians are going to attempt something. They're going to attempt to suggest some economic things, like this Dmitriev track that is being so intensely discussed. But for the time being, something specific, something solid that would allow us to say that after this, Trump is about to start lifting sanctions. Well, such things don't exist so far, and I think that they are not going to exist because should they have existed, it would be somehow reflected in American press. And another component, there was a question about their policy towards European partners. For the United States of America, it's important to preserve their relations with the European Union. Well, they're not going to abdicate their allies' obligations, probably try to reform it, but within that framework of allied relations. So for Ukraine, it's important to maintain the European vector because it's not only about the United States, it's a matter of lobbyism of our partners who are supposed to have certain interest in preservation, in saving Ukraine. And having Ukraine surviving the war, preserving some serious solid positions. For us, it poses yet another problem because it was said that the politicians present a vision of the future of how Ukraine is supposed to be, but unfortunately in the foreign policy field, we present a lot, but we don't talk a lot the functionality of Ukraine on the very same day after the end of the war. Like, okay, how is Ukraine going to be useful for Great Britain, Portugal, Ireland, Sweden? For the Eastern European countries, it's clear. There is certain potential with holding Russia, but when it comes to communication, like, I apologize, with Spain or Portugal, like saying like we're defending you against Russian aggression so that the boots of a Russian soldier are not on your soil. Well, it kind of looks surprising for those countries. But what will be the place, the role of Ukraine in the global logistics, in the global economy, in the regional economy? We're not presenting this, unfortunately. Even in the Black Sea region, it's quite illustrative that after a failed communication in the Oval Office, the summit was also attempted by the representatives of Turkey, because Turkey is at the same time a partner to both China and the United States. And for them, it's important to make sure that Russia doesn't take any dominating position in the Black Sea basin. And hence, the interest of Turkey to make sure that the format of the peace negotiations doesn't look like the plan of Ukrainian capitulation. But for Ukraine, it's vitally important to analyze the interests of Turkey in the region, including logistic, military sector, economics, and play on those interests, because Turkey doesn't say they are going to fight against Russia, but it means that we have to play on the interest of Turkey rather than on anti-Russian sentiment. Those are two different things, and that's a homework for Ukraine for the 3 months to come. Because if we talk about this concept, like how can we be useful, a level of political support may change on part of our partners. Thank you, dear colleagues. If you have any questions on the floor, please let me know. And Vadym, I cannot help but asking about all those events unfolding in Russia around Prado. We see some political process, intense process. We are witnessing the reaction of some of the European leaders. We see that the capabilities of patriarch were already deployed. So how should we consider it? Well, our main question is whether the Ukrainian drones are going to reach the Red Square. We understand that 80 years University of Victory, which is a quasi-religion for Russian Federation, well, it cannot be a not important event. Well, but Putin has demonstrated his profound weakness when he suggested the ceasefire for the 7th, 8th, and 9th and 10th of May, because he is afraid of Ukrainian drones reaching him and spoiling his parade. So again, that's a quasi-religious hysteria that traditionally was instigated in the post-Soviet Russian society. The last thing they've done is they directly refer to the Jerusalem fire from the Jerusalem temple. Today, they've dispensed it to 230 cities of Ukraine. They've dispensed small lamps fired from the eternal fire of victory. I mean, it can only be considered as a quasi-religion, but everything that's happening around the parade is just nothing. The main thing is the weakness of Putin asking for ceasefire. Well, can we see this idea as a failure? I mean, judging by the way that it's discussed in the world. No, there is a huge diplomatic victory of Russia. Xi Jinping is attending. I mean, Xi Jinping is attending Moscow on a regular basis, but he could have picked another time. But the fact that he picked this date, 9th of May, is a huge diplomatic victory of Russia. Everything else doesn't matter. But this Xi Jinping's visit that is about to last 3 days, that's a weighty, a hefty visit. And it should be considered within the framework of preparation of talks between United States and China, but it's a huge diplomatic victory of Russia. Thank you. And the last question, to summarize everything that we've discussed, you've just mentioned that we're entering this period of 2 to 3 months that are about to become difficult, traditionally difficult for us. So I mean, it's no different from other periods. So what are the opportunities for us? What should we take advantage of in this period? Well, it's not about 2 to 3 months. The summer campaign usually depended on the weather, lasts until October or even November, so we're entering the period of a summer campaign. Our understanding should be that the theoretical window of opportunities will be somewhere in autumn this year. We don't have to quarrel with the United States in no way. The anti-American sentiment that I've demonstrated that are emerging in Ukraine, they are going to be rocked by both external actors such as Russian Federation and Ukrainian internal actors, and on top of that, we are a part of negotiation process between EU and US. We are in the middle of this negotiation process, and our key task is to save ourselves during this process and to attempt to champion our positions there rather than making up a will. And in my opinion, it's a huge mistake, given the fact that the key negotiations in the next year will be between Trump and Xi Jinping. You know, our quarrel with China because of 150 servicemen, in my opinion, I don't know, maybe it's a part of some broader negotiations, broader agreements, but what we see on the surface, it looks like a mistake. What I would like to add is that I was given the example of Turkey just now. Yes, for us, United States and European Union are the key partners, but neglecting the opportunity to get new partners involved, I mean such partners which are the regional super states that are going to gain even more potential and authority in the global arena, I think it's a little bit of a hindsight. And in this case, we may mention Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, South Africa, Ethiopia, probably Egypt to a certain extent. Every single one of those countries have certain interest in our region. Every single one of those countries can be talked to, but it's impossible to talk with any single one of them when you say you have to accept the Ukrainian vision of global politics with no concessions, because they are the regional leaders. And we have to look for the ways of cooperation. When it comes to Chinese axis, well, if there is such an option that the format of peace will depend on the results of negotiation between US and China or EU and China communicating with one single party of the process, I don't know. Probably there is some logic behind that, but my mind is not enough to comprehend it. Thank you very much for this conversation. Thank you very much for the results of your analytical report. And thank you, dear friends, for joining us. Stay tuned, and we continue working together for our victory. Glory to Ukraine. Glory to the heroes.